Right to be Read podcast, episode number 22. Interview with Jim Kukral.
You are listening to the Right to be Read podcast, and this is your host, Ani Alexander.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Right to be Read podcast, the podcast that inspires and encourages writers. I'm your host, Ani Alexander, and today we have a very interesting interview with Jim Kukral. But before we start that, I would like to remind you that you can get very useful writer resources at my website, www.anialexander.com/free. So, getting back to Jim Kukral is a 16-year international marketing professional who was recently named as one of the most influential small business people on Twitter. Jim also serves as a program faculty member for the University of San Francisco's Internet Marketing Program, where he teaches classes to students around the globe on the topic of Internet marketing, entrepreneurship, and social media. In addition, smallbiztrends.com chose Jim as one of the 100 top small business influencers online. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the Right to be Read podcast. I'm really happy to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Since you're the big marketing expert and you know about the book market and the book marketing a lot, I would prefer to concentrate on those topics for the interview.
We can do whatever you'd like.
Thanks a lot. So, as far as I know, many people have problems writing the book from the start until the end. But those who manage and those who self-publish later on get disappointed because they end up with very low sales figures. Their book is not visible, and they don't know what to do from that point on. What would you suggest to those who are just starting, what they should prepare in advance in terms of marketing before they're launching their book?
Well, I've always said that you should market your book the minute you have the idea for the book. And that means doing things like going on social media and asking friends and associates, here's the book I'm thinking of writing. Here's what I think I'm going to call it. I do this for every single book I put out. I go to Facebook and Twitter and I say, here's the next book I'm going to write. Here's what it's going to be about. What do you think? And I get tons of feedback and they say, well, Jim, that's great. Maybe you should add this or maybe you should do this. So I'm kind of like crowdsourcing the content of my book ahead of time. Then I'll actually even go as far as crowdsourcing the title of the book and the cover. I'll have the cover done and I'll put multiple examples of the cover online and I'll say, which cover do you like better? Or which tagline and subtitle do you like better? And I'll crowdsource the entire thing before I even write a chapter. All right. Now, the point of this is I'm pre-educating people about the book that I'm going to write. So it's marketing before I'm even writing the book. And one of the worst things you can do is just, as a salesperson, is just try to throw something in front of somebody that they've never heard of before, because you have to educate people about it, right? So when you educate your audience ahead of time, then when the day comes when it's time for them to purchase it, they go, oh yeah, I know that I already needed that, or I've been excited about that. And that's a big stepping stone to first getting your book going. And the other great thing about it is this. You get an audience of people who get excited for it because they're like, wow, this has been coming. This is something you've been talking about for 6 months or a year. And I remember you talking about that. So, and the biggest thing about that is it motivates you as well as the author, because now it's real. Instead of just an idea in your head, it's something you put out there and now you have to deliver. And that kind of puts a little bug in the back of your head that says, boy, I better get this thing done or I'm going to kind of look like a fool if I don't ever release it.
I see. And to what extent are you listening to the feedback and changing things along the way? Do you accept all kind of feedback? Or, I mean, you certainly put some limits up to what you're ready to change the initial ideas or the cover or the title or whatever, no?
Well, let's put it, I write nonfiction books. Okay, so it's a little bit different than somebody writing a vampire book or a romance book. Okay, however, you have to go back to the question. You have to ask yourself, why are you writing the book? Is it for your own personal enjoyment and ego to have a book out there? Then that's fine. Do whatever you want. But if you are in business to write a book to get sales, to get customers from it, then you better write a book that people want to read. And that means talking to people ahead of time and finding out what they're interested in and what's hot and looking at research and trends and seeing what's selling. Big mistake I see a lot of authors make and is going out there and writing a book that nobody wants. I get a lot of people who come to me and they're like, Jim, I wrote a book on 17th century French poetry. And I said, that's wonderful. I'm glad you wrote that book, but there's probably 200 people in the world who really want that book, not 2 million. So they're disappointed when it doesn't sell because there's no audience. So think of writing as a reason for why you're doing it. Are you writing it for your career? Do you want to have a book that's going to make you look more credible and help you get better jobs or speaking gigs? Are you writing a book that you want to sell, or a series of books that you think you can sell and make a lot of money as an author? You have to decide why you're writing the book first, and then go down that path.
I see. So once you crowdsource all the ideas and end up, let's say, presumably with the ideal book that people are waiting to read, what are the next steps you go ahead with?
Well, all the way along that way, you should be engaging with your audience on social media and telling them about how you just wrote this chapter and giving them updates and aggressively trying to drive those people into your social media channels and your email sign-up list. You should have an email list on your website that people can get on, because think about this. When your book's finally done, you're going to want to send out a note to everyone who you contacted over the last 6 months or 3 weeks or whatever and say, hey, it's ready for purchase now. So you want to aggressively build an email list of people. Even if you only end up with 100 signups on it, who cares? That's 100 people that you could click a button to that sends a message directly into their inbox, where you might get 100 sales right off the bat. It's that important.
Okay, so the main thing to get the emails of those people, do you, let's say, well, maybe it's not the exact word, but do you bribe them somehow to capture their emails?
That's the word that most people seem to understand, but it's an ethical bribe, right? So this happens every single day. You go online and somebody says, join or enter to win a Kindle Fire, and all you have to do is give us your email address, or here's a free ebook and you give us your email address. So it's not technically a bribe, but essentially the concept is, yes, you want to give them something of value. You have to remember, people don't want more email. They get enough email. And you have to give them a reason to want to be on your email list. So you might offer a free bonus chapter. One of the things I'm doing with my new book, Go Direct, is I give you an audiobook version of the book as well as the digital PDF copy of the book. So you got to think about what you can give them in addition, right? Again, let's go back to everyone needs to be a marketer nowadays. Everybody needs to be a salesperson. The days are gone where everyone will a publisher or somebody's just going to market your stuff for you. It's all about you being aggressive and being able to sell what you have and build your brand and get the word out about it. So you all have to figure out ways to do that. And it's not that hard, really, with the technology and the internet and the social media that we have today.
Yeah, well, I think they just have to be eager enough to do that and to dedicate enough time for that and be consistent, because many think that writing the book is what they're supposed to do, and that's all. But these days, if they want to sell that book, writing the book itself is just not enough. Even if the book is perfect, it will be lying there somewhere on Amazon, not quite visible, and people will not even know that it exists. So it doesn't work anymore like that. You don't have unless you're a very, very famous writer, you don't have this privilege of just writing books and not doing anything else. So I guess, and many, I think, need some support and some resources for that. And I know that you provide those. Can you tell a bit about your services for writers you provide?
Well, anyone can sign up and learn about how to market their books at my website, authormarketingclub.com. We have free training there, free tools, and free learning. There's over 30 hours of videos, recordings that will show you how to do everything from how to launch your book like an internet marketer or a Hollywood studio, how to upload your book to Amazon, great presentations that talk about the reasons you're not selling any books, how to write better sales descriptions. There's a lot involved in marketing your book, as you mentioned. And authormarketingclub.com provides free information for people who want to learn how to do this stuff. We also have a paid membership as well, which includes a lot of really wonderful tools that you can use to make your book sell better and get the word out. So there's lots of information out there, not just my site. You can go to all other places online. The point is that you can do it yourself. You can be successful if you write your book and you put the effort in. And it's going to take some work, but the opportunity's there. It's not like it was in the past where you had to go through a publisher or a gatekeeper and somebody rejected your book. Now you can do this on your own and you have a chance like everyone else. And every single day, a new author pops up that hits amazing success. Sometimes it takes 10 years. Sometimes they get lucky on the first try. It's probably going to take longer, but you can do it. You do have the opportunity. So I would suggest that you go out there and give it a try.
Yeah, you never know how it will be until you try, right? So it's worth trying at least.
Well, let me tell you a story about that. So I had lunch with a woman the other day who writes a blog on gardening, and she's not an author. But we got to the discussion of authors, and she told me, I have to tell you the story. She said, my mom has been writing romance books for the last 10 years, and she's been rejected countless times from publishers and agents. And when this Kindle stuff started, I told my mom, I said, why don't you let me take some of your books and put them up on Amazon and let's just see what happens. And she said, my mom went crazy. She said, absolutely not. I don't want to do that. I want to go through a traditional publisher. That's the way that I want to do it. So the girl waited a couple of years and then she said, you know what, I'm going to do it without my mom's permission. And she took two of her mom's book out of her drawer, retyped them up and put covers on them and put them on Amazon. First, the mom went crazy because she said, I didn't want this to happen. Guess where she is today? She's making 5 figures a month. She has 10 plus romance books on Amazon, and she has she's a 70-year-old lady, and she's able to completely quit her job and retire, is making more money now every month than she made in 3 months. And is now retired, living off the money that she's making from her Amazon books, just putting them out there. And this is a story that I hear every single day. The opportunity is amazing, but to your point, if you don't try, if you don't go out there and try to make something happen, you will never have the chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that traditional publishers, if you get rejections from traditional publishers, it doesn't mean that your book is not good enough or that it won't be selling later on. So I always tell this. I even wrote a blog post recently mentioning very famous authors who got tons of rejections, and at the end they are making millions of sales. So it doesn't mean anything specific. Maybe it just means that the person who read in the publishing house was not the right person who should read your book, maybe. I don't know. But absolutely, the truth is that, if you've written a book and you've got rejections from different places, you can try something else also. Now you have the alternative to self-publish.
Absolutely. Go out there and give it a try. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you, since you're an expert in that, can you mention the specific points like the book title and book cover, the elements which are very crucial besides the manuscript, which may be perfect and professionally edited? Which are the other components which impact a lot on the success?
Yes, the book title obviously is something that needs to be in nonfiction world. It's a lot more important because people read books for different reasons. Okay, let's go back to the main mantra I have, which I've been speaking about for years. And there's two reasons that people use the internet. Number one is to have a problem solved, and number two is to be entertained. Those are the only two reasons you use the internet. Okay? And the same thing applies for nonfiction and fiction books. In nonfiction, you typically are reading a book to have a problem solved. You're looking for a recipe. You're learning about architecture. You're learning about how to read music, right? In fiction, you're reading to be entertained, right? So think about that perspective. So having problem-solving titles in nonfiction makes a lot more sense. Having titles in fiction, they can be very generic and they can be very, what's the word for it? Not specific, okay? However, the cover really plays a huge part in how successful your book is. Now, I want you to just imagine Amazon. Go to Amazon in your head and search for any type of genre book on Amazon. Or you can just go do that on Amazon. And I want you to look at the little thumbnails of the book covers. And that is the first line right there that somebody has the first impression about your book. And research and studies have shown that having the right effects and the right imagery on a book cover can change your book from selling 1 copy a day to 100 a day, right? It's that important to have a book cover that really mimics. Let me give you an idea. When I did my book, Business Around a Lifestyle, Volume 1, I sourced the book cover probably through 20 iterations, and I went through probably 100 different images I wanted on the book cover. And I finally settled on an illustration I had done of a man in a lounge chair with a laptop underneath a palm tree on a beach. And the reason I did that was this. I had figured out through crowdsourcing and talking to a lot of people that that's the universal image for success for people who don't want to work for a living, who want to have more freedom in their lives. And that's why I chose that image. I didn't just choose it because I thought it looked good. I didn't just choose it because it was a cheap stock art image. I actually had it custom illustrated. It was purposely put in there because that's the image I wanted people to convey in a split second. And you need to do the same thing as well. There are also a lot of techniques you can put in place to make your book covers stand out and jump and look more professional. And that means a heck of a lot when you're promoting your books.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And also I would like to mention, and maybe you can go into more details, that not all covers are extremely expensive. You can get away with very decent pre-made models as well if you can find something that is suitable to your book as well.
Yes, it's not like it used to be where you had to hire a designer and technical people to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do stuff. The world has changed. I always like to say this. There are really wonderful designers, artists, book converters, editors, all sitting at home in their underwear without jobs, just waiting for you to come along and say, we have a job for you. And they're not charging, what they used to charge when they worked for big companies. They're more than willing to give you their quality of work, high quality of work, for a very inexpensive fee comparable to what you used to have to pay. So the opportunity is there for you. Just have to find. Elance is a great place to find people. 99 Designs, Author Marketing Club. We have an entire pre-made book cover gallery there where we make covers, and we have 15 other book cover designers who make pre-made book cover designs. You can get covers for as cheap as $30, customized with your title and author name on them. So you can do it, and your point is exactly on right.
Yeah, absolutely. So the times have changed, and now you no longer have the excuse saying that you don't have money and you can't really publish a book. Now there are various of options, and you can adjust everything according to your budget. And I think it's affordable for absolutely everyone. And you can start maybe with a pre-made cover, and then later on, when you make some money with your book sales, later on upgrade the cover and change it to something more suitable or something better. So there's always a way out, and the key point is just to start and to make the first steps.
Yes, and that's the key to success with anything, right? Going out there and putting your first step forward and making a move toward it is the difference between people who live lives that aren't happy and the people who have success, right? You know, the old parable of Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill. Once you can push that boulder up over the hill, that's the hard part, right? Then the problem is most people don't want to put the effort in to push the boulder up the hill because it's hard. It's really hard to take those first steps. It's really hard to get past that point. And the difference between super successful authors and people who live the lives that they want are the ones who put their head down and make it happen. It's not about, there's a lot of people out there who think that it's all about getting lucky. And it's not. 1 in a million people get lucky. The rest of us, we all have to work. We have to try. We have to make huge efforts to get where we want. I've been building a career as a author, as an entrepreneur for over 18 years on the internet. And it's taken me 18 years to get there. 18 years of overnight success, right? It takes time. It takes time to put things out there. You may write 20 books before one of them just hits big. You may write one book and get lucky. But if you don't keep trying, if you don't keep putting it out there, then you're never going to have the chance. And then what happens is you get what everybody else gives you. I have a quote I always say, doers get what they want, and everyone else gets what they get. So if you're okay with just getting what you get from everybody, from your bosses, from your career, if you're okay with them deciding how much money you make and how your life runs, then fine. That's no problem. Some people are okay with that. But if you want to get what you want, you need to be a doer.
Yeah, and as they say, more you work, luckier you get. And also, as you mentioned, you may write 20 books and then the 20th hits and gets success, but then the other 19 will follow eventually. So it's not like you've lost time writing the other books as well. So there's always, nothing is lost. Whatever you do, it's either a learning curve or it's a content which later on will be successful along with the one which succeeded, right?
Get to work. That's the message. Ship, right? You want to ship. You want to get out there and write. If you create a product or a service of any kind, if you can't put it in a box, this is the metaphor. If you can't put it in a box and ship it out and get it to someone, and then you're never going to have anything. And that's the hard part, is getting it ready, and then of course you get the marketing of it after.
Okay. And what about, I think that many people have this issue and would like to, their book or themselves as an author to get noticed. So they try hard in social media, they go to different meetups, they spend time trying to engage their readers, etc. Do you have any tips about those, how to get noticed?
Well, obviously one of the best things you can do is find where your audience is. If you write books about vampires, then you want to find audiences of people who are interested in that topic. Go to Facebook and find groups where people will discuss vampires. Find blogs and websites where people will talk about vampires. Work those channels. Find where your audience is and then target those people. Facebook advertisements are a great way to do that because you can target down to level of interest. You can say, I want to run an ad for my vampire book to people who are interested in these vampire groups and these other vampire books. And so it's targeted. And that's the best thing that you can do is going out there and trying to find people who are interested. The worst thing you can do is just try to market your book to everyone who's not interested in it. If people aren't interested in that topic, you're wasting your time and your money and your efforts to go out there and put a book in front of them.
Yeah, and maybe when you find your target audience where they are, for example, if you get to that Facebook group, maybe you should spend some time to create relationships before you start pushing your book to them.
Well, that's point 2, right? So one of the biggest mistakes I see most new authors make is they go out and start spamming Facebook groups and, hey, buy my book, here's my book. It doesn't work like that. Again, you want it to work like that, and I get why you do. I'd love it to work like that as well, but it just doesn't. Here's the analogy I always choose to talk about with social media and selling. If you got invited to a World Cup party, and you're at the World Cup finals party, and all you did was walk around to the party and go up to everyone you met the first time and say, hey, have you heard about my book? You should buy my book. Here's a link to my book. They would never invite you to that party ever again, because you'd be the person at the party who was just trying to sell stuff and who was just trying to annoy people. Now take that analogy and imagine if you did that inside a Facebook group. The same exact thing is going to happen. They're going to ban you out of the group, and they're going to say, go away. We don't want people who are here just to try to promote their books. So I understand why people want to do that, because it's easy, but the long of it is, as you mentioned, is it's about building relationships with people. Find people who write blogs on your topic and start commenting on their blogs and send them email and link to their blogs and connect with them on social media and build relationships with people.
Yeah, so it's a long-term process. I mean, if someone is waiting to get results just in one day or 1 week, it doesn't work like that. It takes time, and building relationship is something which doesn't happen overnight, I guess. So also I came across recently the service you provide in digital book launch.
Yes.
Could you just briefly explain what it is and how could authors benefit from it?
Well, we do have a digitalbooklaunch.com. We have a custom book cover designs we can do if you don't want to do the pre-made, if you're looking for something a little bit more custom. We do have book conversion packages. So if you want to go out, well, you're going to need to. When your book is ready, you're going to want to get it converted so that it can be uploaded to Kindle, to Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords. You're going to want to, if you're going to have a print version of your book made, print on demand, you're going to need to have that formatted. These are all things you can do on your own. You can learn how to convert a book to Kindle. There are 200 free articles on the internet, 2,000. That you can go and learn how to do it. The question is, do you have the time? Do you have a full-time job and you're saying, well, I just don't have the time. Maybe I can pay somebody to just handle some of these things for me. So that's what Digital Book Launch does.
Okay, so it saves time, and it takes out the big hassle from author's shoulder, and it's the easier way to outsource all in one place, the cover and the conversion and everything that is needed to be done. Okay, good. So the last question I would like to ask you, let's imagine... Well, let's take my example, okay? You have an author who has few books, who is selling quite moderate, who is writing in foreign language, living far away in Armenia, and the audience is not very big. How to continue? What to do next?
The same rules apply for you as for everybody, Put your book in as many channels as possible. Build your email list. I just did something really neat this morning. There was a website called Book Track where you can go and upload parts of your book and add sound and music to your book. And I've had friends, like my friend Jay Thorne, who writes, he's a top 5 horror writer on Amazon. He just uploaded one of his books there with some sound built to it, and he's already getting thousands of new readers. So there's plenty of different websites and opportunities for you to put your book out there and learn how to get new readers. You of course have the Kindle Select free days and the countdown deals. I guess my advice for people is you have to find what works, and that means trying a lot of different things. I wish that there was a magic button place I could tell you, go to this website, upload your book, hit that, and you're done and you'll be successful. But it doesn't exist. So it's about going out there and reaching out to people in your target audience, your readers. It's about trying new things. It's about going out there and finding new opportunities that exist and putting your book out there. What's the name of the website for YA authors? Wattpad. Wattpad is a great place if you write YA books and to go out there and to get new readers. But again, you can't just throw your book up and walk away. You have to interact with people.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Jim, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to our listeners. And I'm absolutely sure that we had lots of useful information and tips. And there is a lot to think about and act accordingly. So thank you very much. We really enjoyed listening to you. It was a great pleasure. And I hope that things will work very well with your upcoming project as well.
Thank you very much. And the last thing I want to mention is if any of your listeners are anywhere near Cleveland, Ohio, I know you're not, I'm doing an event for authors, a one-day event called authormarketinglive.com in September. It's about 60 days away at the time of this recording. And we'd love to have you come out for a full day of learning about how to write books and how to market books.
Okay, great. I will put all the relevant links in the show notes, so they will know. I'm sure you have a website, a web page for that event, right?
Yeah, authormarketinglive.com.
Okay, so I'll put that there as well, so whoever is interested as a reference, they can get the link and following it, get more details, and I'm sure it will be a blast, and, if I could, I would definitely be there too. Well, that was it for today, and I really hope that you enjoyed the interview. Before I leave, just a small reminder that you can check out the closed Facebook group of Right to Be Read listeners, and it's at www.facebook.com/groups/Right to Be Read. Hopefully I'll meet you there and we can have direct dialogues together. I wish you success with writing, marketing, and selling your books. See you in the next episode.